Okay, unit review for 4A. There's also a 4B, but I wanted to kind of split it into two sections. So number one, you're graphing the equation, but you got to identify the range. So you have the equation y equals negative 5x squared plus 10x plus 2. And I'm going to put range with y. I'll figure that out after the graph's done. So is it an ABC or an AHK? It's an ABC, so that's when I stack three coordinates. And this is the vertex in the middle. You find the x using the opposite of b divided by 2 times a. So opposite of b, negative 10, and then 2 times negative 5 is also negative 10. So that ends up being a quotient of 1. So 2 and 0. Dude, when you have 0, you can just take out the x terms and you just have 2. Okay. So then I just replace the x's with 2's. I get 2. Then we will be replacing the x's with 1. That finds our y at the vertex. Okay, it's 7. Should be easy to graph. Okay, so you go 2, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 0, 2. Okay, you need to label that vertex. It's 1, 7. It's just the middle coordinate that we found. So I put 7, and then from there it goes downward, so it's less than or equal. Okay, number 2, y equals 4. Absolute value x plus 3 to the second minus 3. So AHK this time, and the range can be done after the graph. Okay, so you don't stack your points here. You're going to first off make your parent graph down here in the corner, y equals x squared, because the table's set up originally from the parent function, then I make the translation. So if I square 3, it's 9. 2 squared is 4. 1, 0. And when you square the negatives, they end up being the same thing, 1, 4, 9. Now you translate it. So an A means you multiply all of your y's by 4. The H, you take the expression with the x over here equal to 0. So minus 3 minus 3. And I get negative 3. So I add negative 3 to all the x's. The reason why you set it equal to 0 is because this is like the vertex to start with, okay? But now 0 plus negative 3 would make negative 3. And the rest of these follow suit. It's negative 2, negative 1. 3 plus negative 3 is 0. And then negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. Now the y's, and that's the only thing you ever have to do to x's. That's why I did it. Now the y's, I will be using my k. After I times 4, I will minus 3. Okay. So I take 9 times 4 minus 3, it's 33, okay? Then 4 times 4 minus 3 is 13. 1 times 4 minus 3 is incidentally back to 1. That's fine, don't overthink it. 0 times 4 is 0, but when you minus 3, then that goes to negative 3. Okay, and then that just goes, that's 1. I already did 1, so I know it's 1. 4 was 13, and then 33. Okay, so we're going to go by 5s on the y-axis. So I stay in the middle. I go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 33 to be there. Negative 1, 5, 10, and then 13 somewhere there. Negative 2, then up 1 a little ways. Okay, negative 3, negative 3. So you go negative 3, then you dip down, okay? And then from there, after you get those 4 points, then you just start going back, ring around the rosy, okay? There's a parabola. Now your range, label that point. Now don't look at the graph, look at the middle point, negative 3, because I got 3 here, so negative 3, negative 3. So you take your y, that's the range, and then you're going up from there, so it'd be greater than or equal to negative 3. Okay, now let's solve some equations. Solve the equation. Factoring must be used when possible. Only go to the quadratic formula if you have an ABC prime expression. So I don't want you going to quadratic formula when it can be factored, because otherwise you forget how to factor. Okay, x squared plus 11x plus 30 equals 0. So you got two solutions. Now label you got A, B, and C. So with A, B, C, you apply your discriminant first to see if you should factor it, if you even can factor it with the t table. So B is 11, and then A is 1, C is 30. 11 to the second is 121. 4 times 1 times 30 is 112. 121 minus 112 is 9. So square root of 9 is 3. So hopefully when I punch this in, I get 3. What I did there, only do that in your head if you are good at mental math. If you're not, you can just go to the calculator and make sure you get it in right. Okay, it equals 1, so it's we need to factor. So WGCF, and with 3 terms, you want to then see what you find on your table. GCF's 1, you can't do X, and it's positive 1 because A is positive. Okay, so 1 times 30 is 30, positive. So the signs of the factors have to match. They have to add to positive 11. So I start dividing 1 and 30. Nope, that's negative 31. Divide by 2, you get 15. That's negative 17. Divide by 3, you get 10. That's negative 13. 4 is not even a factor. 30 by 5 is 6. Okay, that's negative 11. To make positive 11, you switch the signs. There you have it. Now your A is just the implied 1, so it's an easy factoring. You can cross out the 1, and it's just the 2 parentheses with XX plus 5 plus 6. So over here, I put equals 0, then I line up my factors. I didn't have a GCF, so I've just got x plus 5, x plus 6 equals 0. So x plus 5 could equal 0, x plus 6 could equal 0. We subtract 5 from both sides, I get negative 5. And we subtract 6 from both sides, I get negative 6. Okay, number 4, 9x squared minus 18x equals 0. So we have 2 solutions. That's an A, that's a B, there's no C. Okay, so with AB, make sure you're equal to 0, just like you do with ABC, but you then just do the GCF. There's going to be no table after it. Okay, 9 and 18, that'd be 9, and you also need to take x, because C's not in here, so you need to be divided, and it's positive 9 because A is positive. So 9x, you cancel the x's there, and you have 1x minus 2. Okay, and that's the end of the factoring, so equals 0, so we have 9x, and then we just have the 1x minus 2. So F1, F2. Factor 1, factor 2. 9x equals 0, 1x minus 2 equals 0. So you divide by 9 here, and x could equal 0. Then we add 2, and x could equal 2. 0 and 2. Okay, 5, 8x squared plus 10x minus 3 equals 0. So you have 2 answers. You're set at 0, okay, because you have an ABC, so you don't have to move anything around. So b squared minus 4a and c. So b is 10, and then a is 8, and c is negative 3. Now for those of you good at mental math, that's 100. 4 times 8 is 32, times negative 3 is negative 96. So it's 100 minus negative 96, which is plus 96. So it'd be 196, which is a perfect square. It's 14. Okay, for those of you who that didn't make any sense, because I don't want to Rain Man on you. Okay, that's what I call when you just calculate it mentally. It's called Rain Man math. It's not really a viable teaching technique, though. Okay, so we're factoring. So GCF, and then the t-table. Okay, 8, 10, and 3, that'd be just 1. You can't do x, and a is positive, so 1 it stays. Now, a times c, 24 negative, so it's a positive times a negative, and we need to add, the factors have to add to positive 10. So 124, that's obviously not it. 2 and 12, that adds to negative 10. To have it add to positive 10, you go plus 2 minus 12, and you have it. Now, what's your a? Your a is not a 1, it's an 8, so you have to use the grouping method. So you go up above the problem, you circle the 10x, and you rewrite that middle term. Your 8x squared and minus 3 stay like they are. So plus 10x is now written as minus 2x plus 12x minus 3 equals 0. Then you make the grouping setup, parentheses plus parentheses. Then the line parentheses plus the line parentheses, then the line with the parentheses. And you're going to put a little parentheses on that line. Okay, so you place the 8x squared with the minus 2x. 12 and 3, it's going to be 12x minus 3. Okay, 8 and 2 would be 2. And you'd also have to do x because that last term has x with it. It would be positive because the first number, the 8's positive. Now 12 and 3 are in the third row, so 3. You wouldn't do an x with that because the constant's right there. It means it doesn't have x. And your 12's positive, okay, so you won't do a negative. So you factor out a 2x here and a 3 here. So so we cancel the x's on the second division. So it's going to be 4x minus 1. And that's going to be the same thing. So we factor out the whole expression 4x minus 1. And what am I left with? 2x plus 3. Okay, so we're good. GCF, I didn't do nothing. And I ended up with the parentheses 4x minus 1 times 2x plus 3. So F1, F2. So 4x minus 1 equals 0. 2x plus 3 equals 0. So we add 1, we get 1. Okay, and it's 1/4, or you can write the decimal, I don't care. Minus 3, you get negative 3. Negative 3 over 2, you can also write the decimal, it doesn't matter. Okay. Alright, number 6, 5x squared minus 2 equals 398. So it has two solutions, x does. So you got, that's an A, that's a C, that's another C. So A's and C's you don't get the 0. You make the little wall and isolate the x squared. So you take out the plus minus 2. Then you take out the times 5 by dividing by 5. So you get 80. Then what number times self's 80? Well, good question. We apply a square root. Now that could be the positive or the negative, which is why you get two answers. 80 is not a perfect square, so I start dividing 80 by the perfect squares. Now 9 times 9 is 81, so I'd start with 8 times 8, which is 64. Nope. 49, nope. 36, nope. 25, nope. 16, okay, cha-ching. So I rewrite that as 16 and 5. So that becomes 4, because the square root of 16 is 4. So you have 4 with the square root of 5. Okay, so 4 square root 5, and then 4 square root 5 with the negative symbol. Okay. Okay, number 7. 4x squared plus 3 equals x squared minus 7x. So that's two answers. Okay, A, if there's no parentheses, you start putting A and C. That's a A and that's a B. So we have them all, okay, so we need the 0. We need to take these out. So minus 1x squared, and there's an A to do that too. Plus 7x, there's no B, so that's a trailer, just hang it out. But you got to put your A's first. 4 minus 1 is 3x squared, there's A. Then B plus 7x, then C plus 3. Okay, then I apply the discriminant. Okay, B would be 7, and then 4. A would be 3, C would be 3. Okay. Okay, now, let's figure that out quick. That's 49. 4 times 3 times 3 is 36. Is 13 a perfect square? No. So that's a prime expression. So I use a quadratic formula. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC. B squared minus 4AC over 2A over 2A. So you got negative 7. A is 3. Okay, and then I've kind of already figured this out. So I dropped the plus minus, I put my negative 7, and I put 6. Now let's go back up to the square root. Now 13 is not a perfect square. It doesn't square root into a perfect whole number. So I divide, but it doesn't divide by any of that stuff either. Okay, so we keep it right there. Now if you want to put a number outside, you put a 1, and then you circle the outsides. Can you reduce those? You don't reduce it with the 13. The square root of 13 stays. Okay, I think you can only divide it by 1. Okay, so the answer is negative 7 plus 1 square root 13 over 6. And the other answer is negative 7 minus 1 square root 13 over 6. Okay. Okay, number 8. 3 quantity x minus 4 to the second equals 48. So there's 2 answers, okay? Okay, this is AHK. So with AHK and you have to solve for x, you make a table. So x minus 4 equals x minus 4 equals. Then you replace that whole parentheses with h. You have 3 in front to the second equals 48. Okay, then we got to take out the times 3 by dividing by 3, and h squared equals 16. We take out the second power with a square root, and we don't divide because 6 squared root of 16 is perfect. It's 4. So 4, negative 4. So we add 4 to both sides. That gives me 8. Then we add 4 to both sides, but now it's negative 4, and that's 0. So 8 and 0 are the 2 solutions. Okay, next problem. Write an equation of the quadratic function given on the graph. Use vertex form. So that's set up for you. Okay, and this was faxed to you. So you got to find a value for A, H, and K, and you have your answer. Now HK is easy. That's this vertex point here. So what is that point? So 1, 2, 3. That's your H. Up 3. That's your K. So they're both 3. Now how about that A? Now on the V's it was easy to find A because you just measured the slope. Okay, but this would not have a slope because it's curved. Okay, so we're going to put A, finding A. Now I want you to just write down what you have. Remember, don't put HK, you put the numbers you found for those. Now we need another X, Y, because X and Y have to come out of there too if I'm going to find A. And that's what these points are for. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5, 6. Okay, so you replace your y with 6, and you replace your x with 5. Now you got to be careful here, because now it's just a, but it's not really an easy equation to solve. You drop your a, put the plus 3. This here, I just dropped behind it. Now this means a times this parentheses, so I put the times in front, but I got to go off and evaluate that parentheses. 5 minus 3 quantity squared. Well, that's 2, so it's 2 to the second. That means 2 times 2, and that's 4. So a times the parentheses to the second, we now know that that is 4. Then I minus 3. Get 3 equals 4 times a, divide by 4. That's 3/4, so you got your a. Now write that out so it looks pretty. The y and x are in your answer. We just use the y. We use this for y and x to find a, but in the final answer, the y and x go back to their variable form. X minus 3 squared plus 3. Remember, if I have to write an equation, I need to see the y and x in the answer. Okay, story problem time. An online music store sells 4,000 songs in a day when it charges $1 per song. The store decides to increase the price of the songs by 5 cents each. If they do this, 80 fewer songs will be sold for each price increase. After how many price increases should the store stop this procedure? What's the maximum revenue they will raise? So we are finding maximum revenue. Now, anytime I find a maximum value, I expect to see that, okay? That should give you some leeway. You're like, oh yeah, that's the opposite of B divided by 2 times A. And to find the y, you sub for x in the equation, whatever number I find. Well, I have to get an equation now. Revenue is the money multiplied by the items. You don't do your blank x squared, blank x, and blank a. You need parentheses. So we're going to have revenue be y. Now find me some money amounts. $1.05. Those go together. Okay, $1 is your starting. Don't put the variable on that. That's a starting amount. Then you're increasing it by 5 cents each. But we need to put an x on that. Okay, a times x. Because I'm going to be increasing it by 5 multiple times, and I don't know how many times, so X stands for price changes, or increases if you want to put that. And then Y is your money. Now the items you sell was, you started selling, when you sold them for $1, you were at 4,000. But every time you do that, you minus 80x. Remember, plus and minus you should have. So in order to have an A and a B, I'm going to need to execute the FOIL method, because that's 2 separate terms, and so's that. So I take 1 times 4,000. Then I go back to the 1 and take it times negative 80x. Then I take 0.05x and times it by negative 80x. Then I take 0.05, or no, sorry, I screwed that up. It's 0.05x times 4,000 times the same thing. Then 0.05x times negative 80x. Okay, so that's 4,000. That's an x with a negative 80. This third one is an x with a 200. And the last one is x squared. Sorry, I'm writing like an idiot. And that's negative 4. Okay, so these are my products. I'll circle them so you can see them. So A is your x squared. You just got the negative 4. And then B is your x is negative 80 plus 200. That's 120. Remember, it's plussing, not timesing. And then 4,000. Okay, so opposite of B, so we're going to have negative 120. And then on bottom, 2 times negative 4. So that's negative 8. So I divide, I get 15. That's how many price changes we have. That's how many times we increase the price 5 cents. Now you substitute 15 for your x's. So y equals negative 4 times 15 to the second plus 120 times 15 plus 4,000. $4,900. Okay. Maximum revenue is $4,900. Okay, last one. This is 11A. I'll do 11A and 11B on the different pages. A baseball is hit into the air from a height of 4 feet above the ground. It shoots up into the air with a velocity of 75 feet per second. Part A, calculate the ball's maximum height. Okay, so maximum's that big parabola in the middle. And again, opposite of B divided by 2 times A, but it's a different type of equation. This is the gravity. Okay, so we're ready for the x squared, the x, and the constant equals y right off the bat. So gravity is always negative 16. This is your velocity. The velocity is 75. Then this is your starting height, and that's going to be 4. Okay? So opposite of b, negative 75, and then 2 times negative 16. That's negative 32. Okay, so we divide 2.34. Now that's the seconds it took to get to the max, but what's the actual max? Well, we replace the x's with 2.34 now goes in for all of the x's. And unless you want to waste time with please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, I would just punch that into the calculator. Okay, 91.89 is your maximum height, feet. Okay, last problem, 11b. Now it's the same information that you're presented with, okay? Now you're finding something different. You have to find how many seconds it takes a baseball to land on the ground at 0 feet, assuming no one catches it. So seconds equals. So I'm not finding the maximum anymore, okay? We're not in Hawkins anymore, so you're going to want to make your boxes. So you got feet and seconds. Seconds is x, feet is y. It's times always x. Feet per second, 75. 75 times x. Now I don't go to the table because it's not a linear function. That ball does not just keep rocketing up forever. Okay, so it's a parabola. Now, with parabolas, you want to mark the height. First, your starting height, which is 4 feet. Then down the other one, you want to mark a point. I don't care where. Okay, somewhere on the downside. And you put 0 feet. I'd probably be down here. Just saying. If you put it there, it doesn't really matter. And you got to find how many seconds go with 0 feet. Okay, so you generate the equation the same way you just did. So negative 16, 75, and 4. And then 0 feet. Feet is y, so y equals 0. So put 0 in for y. Okay, so you have 2 answers for x. Okay. Alright, and it's an ABC quadratic equation, so let's do the discriminant. Okay, so B I have 75, and then A is negative 16, C is 4. Okay, I take 75 times 75, I get 5625. Then we take 4 times negative 16 times 4. Negative 256 plus plus. 5881. Now is that a perfect square? Well, who the heck knows? Okay, let's square root it on the calculator and see. No, it's not, but this is a story problem, so I'm not going to try to divide it and rewrite it in 2 square roots. I'm going to put the approximation, because for story problems we want to use approximations. So we're using, that's a prime expression. We're going to use a quadratic formula. Opposite of b plus or minus d square root, b squared minus 4ac, b squared minus 4ac over 2a over 2a. So it's negative 75. And you got 75 to the second, then A is negative 16, C is 4, and A is negative 16. Now simplify it. So you got negative 75 from the get-go. On bottom, the product of 2 and negative 16 is negative 32. Now the square root, we've already just figured that out, but we write it in its approximation form, not its exact form. Because, I mean, who answers a story problem with a square root answer? Nobody. Plus, that's going to take forever to divide anyway. Okay, negative 0.05. That's not a viable solution to the overall problem. I want to see it, but then I want to see it crossed out. Then I go negative 75 minus 76.69. Divide by negative 32, 4.74. That is a viable answer. Now, so you're wondering, how come on other ones we get two viables? Well, it depends on where you start at. You want to find 0 feet. You were never at 0 feet here. That's why you got the negative, okay? But you're at 0 feet here, and then 4.74 seconds have elapsed.